Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 10 Minutes Astrology. After a long break, we are finally back. Well, hello, Alejo. You look shiny.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. How are you, Rod?
I'm fine. I'm kind of fine, you know. I think something happened during the my Asia trip, but I really don't want to talk about it here. But yeah, I maintained it quite well, and I'm fine. I'm back, and I have another trip very soon. So at this moment, it's kind of working very hard and stress. Yeah, but I'm very happy to see you and very happy to see everyone on our channel because we have to continue. I like this video so much. I don't know why I love this series because share what we learn in astrology. So today our topic is a little bit
Not very
dark.
shiny.
No, no, no. It's like your clothes and my clothes.
Yes.
So Alejo, what are we going to talk about today?
So today we're talking about Saturn, as we were talking about Saturn,
Yeah,
and we continue our journey through the houses. So we're going to be talking about Saturn in the eighth house.
one thing. Um, One thing appear in my mind is the first thing when I think about we are going to talk about the Saturn in the eighth house. I was just like they both not popular, isn't it, in astrology?
Yeah.
Yeah, so should we start with the eighth house because we've been talking about Saturn for so long, so I think most of our audience probably already know a little bit more about Saturn, but let's go address a little bit about eighth house themes then.
Okay, so we had, yes, when we were talking about the houses like ages ago, we said that the eighth house was the opposite of the second house. And so
Hmm.
we said if in the second house we have our resources, in the eighth house we have other people's resources. And this
Hmm.
can also mean that in the eighth house we have other people's values.
Hmm.
So the eighth house might represent an area in which we meet things that are considered valuable by others, and particularly things that are considered valuable by important others, so by the seventh house. And
Hmm.
that's why I think we also have the idea of shared values, shared resources. And this could be shared resources, it could be, okay, a house if you buy a house with your partner. But
Hmm.
it could also be, we could take this to a more symbolic level. I think this was Howard Sassportas who said this. Like it could be also children, not because children are a resource, but with this idea
Hmm.
that it's something that you shared with this person. You will always
Hmm.
share with this person, and you
Yeah.
have to agree on what kind of education you want to give them, what kind of, I don't know,
Hmm.
permits you want to give them, and these kind of things. So the eighth house we have other people's values, other people's resources, the way other people, I find that other people give me value. And then
Hmm.
we have other themes. We usually relate the eighth house with taboo issues. So in the eighth house, sometimes we have our relationships to sex or to
Hmm.
death. The
Hmm.
idea of other people's resources also brings the idea of inheritances, what we inherit from others. And when we say we inherit from others, we're not just talking about objects that we inherit. We can also inherit behaviors, ideals,
Hmm.
beliefs, emotional responses.
Hmm.
And because it's related to taboos like sex, sometimes we also relate the eighth house with the intimacy in relationships, what's happening behind closed doors. So in the seventh house, we see the social aspect of the relationship,
Hmm.
and in the eighth house we see what's happening inside the house, inside the bedroom, which we can, because it's related to sex perhaps, and these kind of things.
Mm.
Have I missed anything?
No, no, I think you would really, really well describe the whole impact of eight house and not scare our audience to death. Because usually I think most astrologer will start with this is a house of death and a crisis.
This is the house of death.
Yeah, yeah, but I think you're right because from the modern astrology and psychological astrology view, the eight house are related to taboo and the things we fear. That, but the more important, the resource we share. So I 100% agree with you. But it's not about children are the resource you share, but is your your what should I say? Should I say the creation because I don't have children, so I don't know your
Yeah,
creation
like the
with
things you
another
have in
person.
common. Yes.
Yeah, you have in common. And what I like is I remember a long time ago when I heard about one of our teacher, Melanie Reinhardt, and she talking about the A house with the transformation, and that is like she mentioned about even for the intimacy, that is a key of transformation when you met another person, not just about sex, both just even when you share different point of a value with another person who is, you are so close to each other, and that will deeply change your view. You're trying to coordinate with each other because you love each other and you want to change for each other. And that is a transformation that we don't talk about it, but because it's not a hard transformation like dog your head bump into the wall or something, but it's a kind of out of love, and you're willing to sacrifice, you're willing to kill your old self, you're willing to change your value for another person. And that is a very beautiful transformation. And that could also happen in the eighth house. But I
Yes.
think the Saturn in the eighth house would be a little bit, pain, I think.
Bang, bang, bang. So I would say, if you want to think about the idea, the eighth house is the house of death. Let's approach it a symbolic death. So we go through many deaths through life.
Mm-hmm.
So we die when we stop being children and we become teenagers. We
Ah,
die again when we stop being teenagers and we become adults. We die again when we stop being singles and we become married or partnered. We die again when we stop being just ourselves and becoming a parent. So there are so many different deaths we go through life, and these deaths require resurrection. So if we have Saturn here in the eighth house, this issue of dying and being reborn will become very serious. It will
mm,
become a theme that will define who we are, because Saturn, what it brings is definition, right? So
mm-hmm,
we might feel a heavy burden in relation to these themes, and we might feel we have to go through so much work to deal with
mm,
this continuous set of deaths and change and crisis. But by going through them with time, we probably learn that this is who we are. We are a person who has many layers and needs to go through these phases of death and transformation in order to discover, to define themselves.
indeed. You did. I 100% agree with you. This remind me the person we are going to talk about today, because I think from her artwork, that is something usually is, even when
Mm.
you look, it's a vivid color. Today we're going to talk about Frida Kahlo. And then, well, let me adopt it. So her birthday, if you couldn't see the chart, her birthday is the 6th of July, 1907. She was born in the Cayocan, Mexico. And
Yes.
her birth time is 8:30, and she has the Leo rising 23 degree, and then the MC is also 23-degree Taurus. We have her Saturn 27-degree Pisces right on the eighth house. So could
Amazing
you,
chart she has.
yeah, could you tell us a little bit more?
Well, if you see her pictures represent a lot this idea of crisis and transformation and being reborn.
Yeah.
I think you can really see in many of her artwork, and also the idea of, with Saturn, because Saturn rules the essence of things. It's like the structure that holds things up, right?
Yeah,
And in the eighth house, maybe there's this sense of being able to see deep, being able to see the essence of things. Or not
yeah.
being able, perhaps working towards seeing that. And I'm thinking a lot of her paintings also, they try to show, to unveil what's hidden,
Mm,
which might be also the Saturn in
yeah.
the
Yeah, I think one thing is pretty interesting. I mean, she started her painting when she was like serious injured and then sitting in the hospital, and she started to her, her approach to the art and the painting. And then this also make her have connect to her husband, another very famous Mexican artist, right? I think
Mm,
Diego Rivera. And
yeah,
then but their relationship is also described by this Saturn, it's a little bit
yeah.
challenge in their relationship, but they are kind of dedicated to each other. Although there's so many complicated drama in their relationship.
I mean, basically, he had so many lovers,
Yes.
and every time he had a lover, he would paint her. So, like, it was like telling her, "Look, I slept with someone else again." So, and she was deeply committed to him. She has
Yeah.
this very tight conjunction between Venus and Pluto. So, I think this is about this deep commitment she had for him.
Yeah.
But so Saturn is ruler of the seventh house cusp.
Yes.
I think that's why also this relationship is so marked by Saturn. Probably she saw a figure of authority in him.
Mm,
But then I'm
yeah.
wondering, with Saturn in the eighth, I'm also wondering how their intimacy might have been. Because where there's Saturn, there's a sense of restriction.
Mm-hmm.
And if the eighth house is the intimate encounter with the other,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I wonder if there has been some sort of coldness or detachment or
Mm.
difficulty in feeling that I can actually, like you were saying, by creating intimacy, you transform who you are, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if this was something she had to work for. It didn't
Mm.
come out so easily.
Yeah, I think so. Must be a challenge, but I think they really dedicate to each other. Like you say, even he
Yeah, yeah,
has so many lovers. She kind of refused to let him, and then but he also kind of look after her,
yeah. Yes,
kind of
yes.
until the day until the day she died. And I think that is a kind of a I don't know how to describe, but that each one has choose their own journey. And then this started in Pisces in eighth house. Really, we can see it from her work, but also when we talk about her relationship, especially her that kind of complicated relationship with Diego Rivera, is also just jump it out, and it's kind of as you say, this Saturn is her seventh house ruler, the ruler of the partnership and also personal relationship. So it is very interesting. Thank you, Alejo, to share with us this Saturn in the eighth house. Well, I hope next time we talk about Saturn, we don't need to be so boom because we probably going to talk about Saturn in ninth house.
It's
But
still a
how could
serious
you?
matter.
Well, how could we talk about Saturn without?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so thank you, Alejo, and thanks everyone to join us to listen. We talk about the Saturn in A house, and next week we're going to talk about Saturn in ninth house. So see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.